So friend, this is going to be third lecture of PSIR answer writing module 2023 model answer test 3. In this series is of Subra Ranjan madam, which is very important. So let's study first question. So the first question is, write a critical note on the concept of sovereignty with a special reference to Justin's theory of sovereignty. Here we have to critically examine the concept of sovereignty and through whose reference? Through Austin's theory of sovereignty. So Austin has given monistic theory of sovereignty. Okay, so let's understand. Okay, the term sovereignty originates from the Latin word supranus meaning supreme. Okay, so the term sovereignty originates from the Latin word supranus, which means supreme. What does it mean? It means exclusive right to exercise supreme authority over a geographical region, group or people, etc. It means to exercise exclusive supreme authority, okay, over a geographical region, group of people. Okay, sovereignty constitutes one of the four elements of the state. So sovereignty constitutes one of the four elements of state. So what are the four elements of state? First, geography, okay, people, sovereignty, and state, and government. Okay, so these are the four elements of sovereignty. So these are the four elements of state. Okay, and sovereignty is one of the element of state. Okay, so Jean Bodin is the first political philosopher who propounded the modern concept of sovereignty. So it was Jean Bodin who was the first philosopher to propound the modern concept of liberty. Okay, so let us understand how he defines sovereignty. So he defined sovereignty as absolute and perpetual power over citizen and subject, unrestrained by law, which means absolute and perpetual power. It is not going to be temporary power, it is perpetual, means it is going to continue over a period of time. Okay, over citizen and subject, citizens and subjects, unrestrained by law. So law will not come to rescue. It is unrestrained by law, means there is no restriction from the law. In his book De la Republique he has given his concept of sovereignty. Okay, so Hobbes further developed on Bodin, giving vast power to his sovereign. Okay, so Bodin after Bodin, Hobbes further developed the concept of sovereignty, and he has given vast power to sovereign. He said he has given the concept of Leviathan. Okay, Leviathan was his book, and in his book Leviathan he has given an extreme power to his sovereign. Okay, from his sovereignty, for him sovereignty is inalienable and invisible. Okay, sovereignty which cannot be violated, and it is indivisible. Indivisible means it cannot be divided. Okay, so now we have to understand Justin. Justin gave his conception of sovereignty in his book Lecture on Jurisprudence. So okay, so Justin has given his concept of sovereignty in his book Lectures on Jurisprudence. So he gives monistic or traditional view of the concept. Okay, so he has given monistic theory of sovereignty. Okay, for him sovereignty is an attribute of state. Okay, for him sovereignty is an attribute of state, it is associated with state. Okay, so what he argues? He argues that if a determinate human superior receives habitual obedience from the bulk of the given society, then that determinate superior is sovereign. Okay, so if a determinate human superior is receiving habitual obedience from the bulk of a given society, then that determinate superior is sovereign. If a sovereign is kind of obliged by bulk of the people of any society, so and it is not kind of temporary, it is habitual obedience. Okay, so then that superior is sovereign. Okay, So according to him, sovereignty is original, absolute, indivisible, inalienable, and unlimited. Okay, for him, sovereignty is what? Sovereignty is original. It is not copy. It is not a copy version. Okay, it is absolute, means there is nothing which can contradict it. Okay, and it is indivisible. It cannot be divided. Okay, and it is inalienable and unlimited, means there is no limit. Okay, however, Justin's conception of sovereignty has been criticized by pluralists like Lasky and McIver as being a narrow and realistic view of sovereignty. Okay, so however, Justin has been criticized by pluralist thinker, okay, like Lasky and McIver. What they say: the pluralistic theory of sovereignty, which emerged in the early 20th century, believed that the state is also an association like other social, political, and economic institution as church, family. Okay, so the pluralist thinker consider that state is not a kind of extraordinary institution. It is an institution, or it is an association like other social, political, and economic institution. For example, church and family. So it is one of the institution among many institutions. For example, church, family. So it has state does not possess any means kind of absolute authority. Okay, man needs the state as well as other association. He says man needs a state as well as other association. So apart from state, man also needs other association. It is based on the doctrine of political pluralism. So here comes the doctrine of political pluralism. Pluralists believe that law is not just the command of sovereign. So according to pluralist, law is not just the command of sovereign, but a kind of social code of conduct as well. Okay, so law is kind of social code of conduct. It is not the command of state, that state is only one who can enforce and make law. Okay, so it is a kind of social code of conduct, okay, which has to be followed in a society. What Lasky said: Lasky, in his book A Grammar of Politics, argues that because society is federal, authority must be federal too. Since society is federal, okay, there are various institutions, for example, church, family, and other institutions are there. So it denotes that society is federal. So authority, that is the state, should also be federal. Okay, it should not be monastic, or it should not be headed by a kind of one person. Okay, he suggests to surrender the entire concept of sovereignty for the benefit of political science. Okay, so he goes to the extent of suggesting that we should we should surrender the entire concept of sovereignty for the benefit of political science. So he said that it will be lasting benefit for the concept of sovereignty if we expunge the kind of monastic theory from it. Okay, that is what he says. We surrender the entire concept of sovereignty for the benefit of political science. Okay, he says that the real rulers of a society are not discoverable. Okay, so what he says that those who are real rulers of society cannot be discovered. Okay, so they are invisible. Okay, kind of they cannot be discovered, means they are invisible. Okay, they do not appear. Okay, we cannot see them directly. Lasky asserts that we are not a universe but multiverse, and the associations are as real as state. Okay, so we are not a universe but multiverse, and association are as real as state. So all other institutions, for example church and family, are as real as state. They do not have their kind of importance less than state. Okay, and we are not a universe. We are not a kind of one universe. There are multiverse. Okay, so that is what they suggest. Okay, similarly, McIver criticized Austin's concept of law as misleading, as it denies two of the basic attributes: universality and formality. Okay, so McIver has also criticized Austin's concept of law as it is misleading, and it denies two of the basic attributes: universality and formality. So it denies universality and formality. Okay, to McIver, the state is both child as well as parent of law. Okay, so for McIver, state is both child as well as parent of law. So state is both the child as well as parent of law. Okay, the state is merely an official guardian of law rather than its maker. Okay, so state is only guardian of law. Okay, and state is official guardian of law, and it does not make law. Okay, laws are made by whom? By various institutions, not state. Okay, so and what is state is? State is only official guardian of the law. Okay, it has no importance, but only kind of official guardian of law. Nevertheless, the real nature of the state sovereignty remains a matter of debate, as Sevine rightly says that a sovereign must reserve the right to be a monist when it can and pluralist when it must. So there is a debate that pluralistic theory of sovereignty is good or monistic theory of sovereignty is good. But the state sovereignty, it's kind of debate, matter of debate. Okay, there is debate among scholars that what kind of sovereignty is good. But what Sevine says that sovereign must reserve the right to be a monist, means whenever a sovereign want to be monist, means it has to if a sovereign wants to act with an iron hand, it should be allowed to do so. And if it want to a kind of decentralize its power, if state or sovereign wants to share its power, so he should be allowed to do so also. So it should have kind of its sovereign must reserve the right to be monist when it can, and when a pluralist when it must. Okay, so now we would be entering into second question, that is main objective of feminist critique is to explore the extent of patriarchal ideology in political philosophy, to explore the material form of discrimination against the women. Discuss. The main objective of feminist critique is to explore the extent of patriarchal ideology in political philosophy, to explore the material form of discrimination as against the women. Now we have to discuss it. Okay, so what should be our introduction? So ideology of feminism argues for an egalitarian world. Okay, so ideology of feminism wants egalitarian world. Okay, a equal world, by seeking to correct the gender stereotyping. How to achieve an equal world? To correct the gender stereotyping of gender related to gender should be abolished. Okay, that is what it suggests. Okay, it is a meta ideology. To feminism is a meta ideology with common objective to advance the role of women and find its root in the okay, so the feminism is a meta ideology with common objective to advance the role of women, and the common objective of every feminist, whether he or she is liberal feminist or socialist feminist or radical feminist, the common objective is to advance the role of women. Okay, and feminism finds its roots in the works of Mary Wollstonecraft, Vindication of Right of Women. In his book Vindication of Rights of Women, from his book Mary Wollstonecraft's book Vindication of Rights of Women, the debate of feminism started. Okay, John Stuart Mill, the subjugation of women. She was the wife of J.S. Mill. Okay, so its roots are found in the works of Mary Wollstonecraft, The Vindication of Rights of Women, and John Stuart Mill, Subjugation of Women. Okay, the sociologist Sylvia Walby defines patriarchy as a system of social structure and practices in which men dominate, oppress, and exploit women. So Sylvia Walby defines patriarchy as a system of social structure, okay, and practices in which men dominate, oppress, and exploit women. Okay, it is a kind of system. Okay, of social structure and practices in which men dominate, oppress, and exploit women. Okay, so it is a social stratification along gender lines with power predominantly held by women. So it is kind of social stratification. Social stratification based on gender lines. Okay, gender is a main factor for this social stratification, and power and who held power in this kind of social stratification? So it is the men who have power over women. Okay, liberal feminism aimed at revival of conventional feminist movement, insisting on absolute equality of opportunity for men and women. So what liberal feminism tried to aim at? They tried to achieve that kind of absolute equality of opportunity for men and women. So there should be equality between men and women. Okay, and they tried to revive the conventional feminist movement, and they insisted on absolute equality of opportunity for men and women. Okay, so some radical feminists like Sula Smith Firestone in her book the Dialect of Sex called women as the first oppressed group on the basis of gender. She held that patriarchy is responsible for this. Okay, so a radical feminist called Sula Smith Firestone in her book Dialectic of Sex held that women are the first oppressor group, है ना, first group who have been oppressed, okay, on the basis of gender, and she held that patriarchy is responsible for this. Okay, so it is patriarchy which has been the reason for the oppression of the woman over a period of time. Okay, Kat Millett in her book Sexual Politics has based her analysis on Max Weber's theory of domination. Okay, so Kat Millett through her book Sexual Politics, okay, he has studied domination of men over women on the basis of Weber's theory of domination. Millett described patriarchy as social constant running through all political, social, and economic structure. Okay, so patriarchy is kind of social constant which runs which runs over which runs through all political, social, and economic structure. Okay, so in political structure there you can find patriarchy. In social structure you can find patriarchy, and in economic structures also okay, you can find patriarchy, and its traces can be found here also. And now Simone de Beauvoir in her book The Second Sex, women are not born, they are made. Okay, so what Simone de Beauvoir said, that one is not born a woman but becomes a woman. How? There is a process for making a woman from starting from his childhood. She has been told, or she has been kind of behaved, she forced to behave, and over a period of time she itself she herself becomes the victim of patriarchy and started preaching or started practicing patriarchy. That is what she wants to convey. At one hand, where the first feminist wave was mainly concerned with equality on the basis of principle of individualism. Okay, the first wave was trying to establish, they want that equality on the basis of what? On the basis of individual, because every individual is free, so there should be equality. There should not be discrimination on the basis of gender, because every individual is free and every individual is equal. On the other hand, the second wave feminist Carol Haynes is credited to raise the slogan "the personal is political." So what Carol Haynes said? She said that personal is political. What does it mean? Personal is political means it was Aristotle who said that so Aristotle is credited as making separation between personal sphere of life and political sphere of life. Okay, and he associated the term political with public sphere of life. Okay, however, Carol Haynes said that personal is political means the family affairs, okay, family kind of marriage, these kind of affairs also come in the purview of state. Okay, so Aristotle has separated personal and political. Aristotle said that it is only political affairs, that affairs related to state only come in the sphere come in public public sphere, but Carol Haynes said that it is the personal affairs, for example family and marriage, also come in kind of in the purview of state. Okay, Betty Friedan, the feminist mystique, has similarly hypothesized that women have been victim of this false belief since the time of Aristotle. Okay, so this is what I was telling. Betty Friedan said that in her book Feminine Mystique, similarly hypothesized that women have been victims of this false belief since the time of, which false belief? Personal is political. Okay, personal is not political. Okay, they are against the public private dichotomy and oppose the idea that the politics is for where private start. Okay, so they, they are against the public private dichotomy, and they oppose the idea that politics is for where private starts. Okay, so they challenge the traditional view between public men and private women. Okay, so they challenge traditional divide between public men and private women. So Jan Moller Okin, in her book Justice, Gender and Family, while giving reference to the maxim personal is political, highlighted that the contemporary theory of justice ignore feminist view and suffer in both coherence and relevance. Okay, so she has also criticized contemporary theories of justice which has not dealt the issue of women in a comprehensive manner. So what she highlight that contemporary theory of justice ignored feminist view and suffer in both coherence and relevance. Okay, so she has also criticized the contemporary theory of justice, for example given by Rawls, and given by Rawls, where she has criticized Rawls and his concept of justice. Okay, and she said that Rawls has excluded women from the his theory. Okay, that is what he she want to convey. Okay, however this view by radical feminists did not go uncriticized. However, this view of feminist, whatever they have propagating, is also criticized. How? Liberal feminists warn against the dangers of politicization of political sphere. Okay, so liberal feminist says the liberal feminist says that there are gender associations with the politicization of public sphere, and personal sphere is a realm of personal choice and individual freedom. Okay, in private sphere is a realm of personal choice and individual freedom. Okay, so you have personal choices, you have individual freedom. You want whatever you want to do, you can do in your private sphere. But if you politicize it, so if politics will enter into your personal sphere, to your personal choices and your individual freedom will be threatened. Okay, so that is why liberal feminists warned against the dangers of politicization of private sphere. It is also seen as an encroachment on right to privacy. Okay, so if you are saying that personal is political, and when state will enter into your personal sphere, so it will be violation of right to privacy. Now you will accuse state of violating your right to privacy. So both, you cannot have both things. Okay, therefore opening the private space to politics has resulted into many new debates so if we open private space to politics, it has resulted into many debates. Okay, so in conclusion, what can we say? In conclusion, we can say that feminism is a methodology in true sense. Okay, in true sense. Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that feminism and patriarchy are inextricably interlinked. Okay, so feminism is a methodology in the sense that there has been various debates. Okay, debates, for example, liberal socialist, first came the liberal socialist feminist, then radical feminist. Okay, then post-colonial feminist came. Okay, then postmodernist feminist came. Okay, and black feminism, white feminism. So there are multiple multiple streams of feminism. Okay, that is why it is called meta ideology in true sense. Okay, nevertheless it cannot be denied that feminism and patriarchy are inextricably interlinked, but feminism and patriarchy are linked together. Okay, but it cannot be denied. So let's understand third question. Liberalism is a view of a thing and not a theory. Comment. Liberalism is a view of thing and not theory. So okay, so according to Richard Wilhelm, according to Richard Wilhelm, liberalism is the belief in the value of liberty of individual. Okay, so what is liberalism? Liberalism is the belief in the value of liberty of individual. Okay, when we believe in the value of liberty of individual, it is called liberalism. Okay, so liberalism is that we respect the liberty of an individual. Okay, liberalism has been one of the most debated intellectual enterprise that has been reshaped through centuries. Okay, so liberalism has been most debated intellectual enterprise and it has been reshaped. Okay, liberalism, how it has been reshaped? We have classical liberalism, we have kind of neoliberalism, modern liberalism. Okay, multiple history, multiple kind of debates have been there and it has been reshaped. Okay, there is no one liberalism. Okay, no one liberalism, no two liberals agree with each other. And when there is no one realism, how can two liberals we agree with each other? No. So if socialist liberals say something else, neoliberals say something else, so no two liberals agree with each other. So two liberals cannot be agree with each other. There is a huge difference between the egalitarian liberalism of John Rawls and libertarianism of Robert Nozick. So John Locke has given the concept of egalitarian liberalism and libertarianism is the concept given by Robert Nozick. So there is a huge difference between among them. How? Okay, means John Rawls has given the concept of justice in his book Theory of Justice. Okay, so he has talked about egalitarian kind of liberalism where he has established a lexical order okay, of liberty, equality and difference principle. So but logic John Rawls has given importance to liberty, utmost important to liberty. Okay, what he says maximum equal liberty for all, but he has also given the concept of equality opportunity for all, and he has given difference principle. Okay, and in difference principle he says that in society equalities are bound to emerge because people are in different stage of their development. There are socio-economic there are various socio-economic conditions, so inequality is must. However, this inequality can be minimized or it can be allowed if state works in the interest of those who are at the bottom of the pyramid. Okay, so if state work for the sake of those who are at the bottom of pyramid, these kind of inequalities are can be allowed. Okay, however Robert Nozick okay, what he said, progressive taxation is kind of bounded labor. Okay, he said that it is progressive taxation or taxation is a kind of aggression on individuals personality. So he kind of tried to try to say that states should not make unequal equal. Okay, that is what he wants to propose. Absolute freedom kind of he has given to individual. Liberals come under attack by post-colonial theorists for violating their right to self-determination when it came to societies they colonized. Okay, so liberals also have been criticized by post-colonial theorists. Okay, how they preach what? Right to self-determination. However, they were reluctant to give right to self-determination when it comes to the societies they have colonized. Okay, so they have been criticized by post-colonial thinker. Now you are kind of teaching the right to self-determination, but you are not giving right to self-determination to your kind of people whom you have subordinated. The early liberalism of John Locke was completely transformed after John Locke published his much acclaimed Theory of Justice. Okay, so early liberalism, that is the classical liberalism of John Locke, was completely transformed. Okay, it has been transformed when Rawls has published his book Theory of Justice in 1971. In such scenario, it becomes tough to ascertain the prime value of. Okay, so they are in such scenario when Locke has been refurbished by the theory of John Rawls. So it is in such scenario it is very difficult to ascertain the prime. What is the prime value of liberalism? Okay, However, supreme concern for individual freedom, belief in his rationality, and limited and accountable state seem to define liberalism broadly. However, supreme concern for individual freedom है ना, तो liberals have supreme concern for individual freedom. They believe in the rationality of man. Limited and accountable state seems to define liberalism broadly. And limited and accountable state. Okay, so what can be the features of liberalism broadly features? What can be the broad feature of liberalism? Individual freedom, one of the component. Belief in the rationality of man, okay, and limited and accountable state. Okay, Karl Popper has defined the theory to be scientific. Has defined theories to be scientific and be available for falsification. So what Karl Popper defined that theories to be scientific. Okay, he urged that theories should be scientific and should be open for kind of falsification. Okay. Liberalism might not qualify as a scientific theory in the Popperian sense, having been replaced and transformed and hence falsified many times over. Okay, so liberalism cannot be qualified as a scientific theory. Okay, what in Popperian sense, having been replaced and transformed and hence falsified many times over. Okay, but other like Fukuyama have declared the triumph of liberalism. Okay, so Fukuyama, after the end of Cold War and collapse of USSR, what he said that history has ended and now liberalism has won the historic battle. Okay, so Francis Fukuyama declared that triumph of liberalism as the only meaningful political ideology post the Cold War, thereby raising liberalism to the level of theory after decimating all the competing narrative. Okay, that is what I have explained that. Okay, triumph of liberalism as the only meaningful ideology post the Cold War. Okay, thereby raising liberalism to the level of theory after decimating all the competing narrative. For example, communism, okay, fascism, they have been disseminated. Okay, however, liberalism has been fiercely discussed and thus produced the richest intellectual debate. Okay, so liberalism has been most debated kind of topic. Okay, so if a topic is most debated, there comes different view, different point of view, different base to interpret it. So it has produced rich intellectual debate. Okay, a social theory is not known for its consistency but for its comprehensive explanation. Okay, a social theory cannot be justified or cannot be known for its consistency, because a social theory which is consistent cannot be considered as real. Okay, cannot be considered as best. But social theory which is comprehensive explanation, which provides comprehensive explanation, can be called can be called good. Okay, so social theory which is liberalism provides comprehensive explanation. Okay, in classical liberalism we have different kind of explanation in social liberalism, so it includes all sphere of our life. Okay, that is what is written here. Undoubtedly, religion is the most cogent explained theory and has supplied itself to inform theories and concepts like international relation, rights, state justice, etc. Okay, so undoubtedly, liberalism is the most cogent explained theory. Okay, and has supplied itself to inform theories and concepts like international relation, rights, states, justice, etc. Okay, so international relation also we have perspective of liberals. Okay, rights, states, and injustice. Justice has been defined with reference to liberalism. What are the various kind of concept given by liberals when it comes to rights, when it comes to state and justice? So that has been there. The fact that liberalism currently is the most widely accepted political idea speaks for its merit as an ideology. Okay, so now liberalism is the most widely accepted political idea. It itself testimony to the fact that the fact of its merit as an ideology. Okay, so it has become ideology in true sense. An ideology is adjudged by its practicality and application. So an ideology should be judged from which lenses? From the lenses of its practicality and application. The flexibility of liberalism has allowed it to remain the most relevant ideology of the day. Okay, so liberalism, the flexibility of liberalism, okay, from ancient to modern, has allowed it to remain most relevant ideology of the day. Okay, an ideology is a short hand guide to action, intellectual equipment designed to be portable and simple formula of a theory. Okay, so an ideology is a short hand guide to action, intellectual equipment designed to be portable, a simple formula of a theory. Okay, so that is what there, how you can conclude. Now this is the 8th question. Fascism began as a movement demanding revolutionary changes in the social and political structure, but soon became a counter-revolutionary force. With reference to the above, explain the nature of fascism as an ideology. Okay, so fascism, it is said that fascist leader also came through democratic means. Okay, so demanding, so it started as a movement demanding revolutionary changes in social and political structure. Okay, so they wanted to bring some fundamental changes, okay, to in all sphere of in social and political structure, but soon became counter revolutionary force. And with reference to the above, explain the nature of fascism as an ideology. Okay, so now here we have to understand, discuss the concept of fascism. Okay, fascism is the most undefined and thus unsystematic ideology. So fascism is most undefined and unsystematic ideology. Okay, because it is said that it is a hodgepodge of ideology. Okay, for the same reason some have described it as ideology to power, है ना. तो how some describe it as a ideology to power and an ideology to come into power. Okay, in those fascist program and action are directed at doing anything that would secure political power. Okay, so in fascist program and action, fascist program and action are directed at doing anything that would secure political power. Okay, so they will utilize any thinker who has gone extreme, and they do anything, okay, to kind of legitimize their kind of power, okay, and secure power. As such, it has been called political opportunism. Okay, so this is kind of political opportunism, because you are taking anything from anywhere. This is what it is, opportunism. Due to this ambiguous and situation-specific nature of fascism, it has been difficult to identify a fascist minimum. Okay, so due to this ambiguous and situation-specific nature of fascism, it has been difficult to identify a fascist minimum. What would be the characteristic of a fascist state or fascism? It has been difficult because it has brought so many things. It is ambiguous. It has situation specific nature. It has situation specific nature, means whatever situation, in whatever in any situation, whatever it suits, it takes. So that is what it is difficult to identify a fascist minimum. However, the tragedy that fascism entails make it too important to analyze so as to preempt any future possibility of horror that led to the Second World War and Holocaust. Okay. But the tragedy is that fascism the tragedy that fascism entails means fascism has resulted into what Second World War and the Holocaust. So it is kind of necessary that we understand the importance of kind of fascism to for what, to preempt any future possibility of horror. Okay, so we have to understand it, how it has developed, how had evolved, and what are the conditions which have which are kind of which necessitates the emergence of fascism. So what are the conditions we have to understand? Only if we know that a particular situation or particular kind of circumstances will lead to fascism, so we can preempt we can forecast, and we can we can prevent it prior. Okay, so Robert Paxton in his 5 stages of fascism, okay, Robert Paxton in 5 stages of fascism has tried to underscore the defining feature of fascism. So he has kind of underlined the defining feature of fascism, okay, in his 5 stages of fascism. Despite this enterprise, he makes it amply clear that fascism is a parochial phenomena and thus would have peculiar national characteristic. Okay, so despite this, in his work 5 stages of fascism, he has tried to define the kind of salient feature of fascism. However, despite this enterprise, he says that fascism is a parochial phenomena. It is based on narrow mind, short-sightedness. It is narrow in nature, so it will have kind of natural characteristic. It will be, for example, the in Germany there has been fascism. In Italy there has been kind of in Italy there has been fascism, and in Germany there has been Nazism. So their characteristics were different. The characteristics of fascism were different in Germany and that of in Italy. Okay, so that is what is saying in thus would have peculiar national characteristics. So it would be having characteristic according to the time and circumstances. Okay, so Paxton calls fascism an authentic mass popular enthusiasm. Authentic mass popular enthusiasm, है ना. For it to be authentic, fascism would have wide disparity among individual cases in space and time. Okay, for it to be authentic, fascism would have wide disparity among individual cases in time and space. Okay, each national variant of fascism draws its legitimacy not from some universal scripture but from what it considers the most authentic element of its own community identity. Okay, so each national variant of fascism draws its legitimacy not from some universal scripture. So they draw the legitimacy not from some universal scripture but what they consider authentic element of its on community identity. For example, Hitler used the community identity as in the form of racism. Okay, they said that we are Aryan race and we have to be superior and Jews are the inferior race. To kind of on community identity they use. Okay, this disparate in their symbol and political tactics, fascist movement resemble each other mainly in their function. Okay, so there can be disparity in their symbol and political tactics. Okay, but fascist movement are going to be similar when it comes to their function in the sense that the subordination of the people, total control over the life of people. So that thing would be same. However, political tactics or symbols, for example, Jews have kind of for example, Hitler states the time of Hitler had kind of this kind of symbol. So symbol and political tactics may differ, but they are kind of in core the principle would remain same. The most important element in the recipe for fascism is the discontent with liberal ideas and crisis of representation. Okay, the most important element in the recipe of fascism is what? Discontent. What Hannah Arendt said, that when depoliticized masses come under the influence of demagogic leader, is turned into fascism, totalitarianism. So discontent with what? Liberal ideas and crisis of representation. Okay, when crisis of representation emerges, so it suits the recipe of fascism. Okay, fascism gains ground as an alternative to non-century ideology of liberalism, conservatism and socialism. Okay, so in that scenario, fascism has gained kind of ground as an alternative 9th century ideology of liberalism, conservatism, socialism. It begins as a revolutionary movement aimed at radical change in society and man. Okay, so it began as a revolutionary movement to bring radical changes in the society and man. Fascists propose a program of radical spiritual, cultural renewal and restoration of national community. Okay, the fascists, what they propose, a program of radical spiritual, cultural renewal and restoration of national community. This idea of progress and a utopian nation draws even some intellectuals into its fold. Okay, so this idea of progress and a utopian nation draws even some intellectuals in its fold. It draws heavily on the idea of nationalism. Okay, so it has its underpinning on the idea of nationalism. Okay, to fabricate a sense of unity and belongingness, fascism can take the form of extreme statism like in Italy, or a radically exclusive community in Nazism. Okay, to fabricate a sense of unity, okay, to garner a sense of unity and belongingness, fascism can take extreme form of statism. Okay, for example, in Italy, and racially exclusive community in Nazism. Okay, in doing so, fascism is anti-liberal in denying individual and preferring community. Okay, so fascism is anti-liberal because it denies the individual freedom, individual equality, and it kind of prefer the role of community, rights of community. Okay, it prefers community as a whole. Okay, and the community lives. Okay, anti-communist due to its primacy to state and hierarchical organization with the authoritarian leader on the top. Okay, so it is also anti-communist. How it gives primacy to state, and what communists are advocating? They are advocating a stateless and classless society. So it is anti-communist also, and hierarchical organization with the authoritarian leader on the top. Okay, so they also advocate for authoritarian leader on the top, which is against the communist ideology. Okay, rights are replaced by duty, so rights will be replaced by duty. Equality is replaced by hierarchy and obedience. Okay, so equality is replaced by hierarchy and obedience. However, the dream that the fascists had made people believe in does not last very long. However, the kind of dreams which have been given to masses by fascists, they are not long lasting. They have it is said that fascism is an interwar phenomena. Okay, so if we let's assume Hitler kind of 1918 to kind of 1945, so they have very short period of time. Okay, that is what it is suggesting. Fascism degenerates from being a revolutionary to most counter-revolutionary force precisely due to its alliance with the conservative element of society. Okay, so to garner support, to have kind of mass appeal, it goes to the the fold of conservatives, and they kind of make it from revolutionary to counter-revolutionary. Okay, fascism begins as an anti-capitalist and anti-modernist program. Okay, so it has begun as a anti-capitalist and anti-modernist program. It bases its legitimacy on the supremacy of ancient regime and intends to bring back past glory. Okay, so it wants to bring past glory, and it draws its legitimacy from the supremacy of the ancient regimes. For example, the concept of Aryan race has been given by Hitler. But an emphasis on war and expansion necessitate reliance on the war industry. Okay, but emphasis on war and expansion necessitate reliance on war industry. Okay, so what fascists say, that there has to be constant increase in territory. Okay, and when they emphasize on war and expansion of territory, so there has to be war industry. Okay, there has to be war equipment to attain this objective. Thus the imperative of staying in power and class alliance with the conservative element to ward off individualistic, liberal and anti-state communist force the fascists to disagree with their earlier program for radical social engineering. Okay, so then what is the necessity of fascists? So they are it is necessary for them to be in power. Okay, and class alliance, so they have to make a class alliance with the conservative element. Okay, though they want to remain in power, so they made alliance with the conservative elements. Okay, so they have to kind of deny individual liberal and anti state communist. Okay, this has forced the kind of fascists to disregard their earlier program for radical social engineering. Early fascist program are poor guide to later fascist policy. How? The sweeping social changes proposed by Mussolini's first fascist program of April 1919, including the vote for women, the right, the 8-hour day, heavy taxation of war profits, confiscation of church lands, and workers' participation in industrial management. So they have they have promised kind of vote for women, 8-hour work day, heavy taxation on war profit. Okay, fixation confiscation of church land, workers' participation in the industrial management. So they have kind of promoted social and economic development kind of program which are radically good, stand in flagrant conflict with the macho persona of the later Deuce and his deals with conservative. Okay, so it is in contrast with the later period later macho persona of later Deuce and his deals with conservatism. The fascism is a system of political authority and social order intended to reinforce the unity, energy, and purity of communities in which liberal democracy stand accused of producing division and decline. Okay, so fascism is a system of political authority and social order. Okay, political authority and social order which reinforce the unity, energy, and purity of community. Okay, which reinforce the unity, energy, and purity of what community in which liberal democracy stand accused of producing division. Okay, so when liberal democracy says individuals are free, okay, they are they are state cannot interfere in their life, so what they are promoting? They are promoting kind of as per fascist, they are producing division and decline in the society. Okay, modern liberal democracy which face excessive inequality and discontent are breeding ground for populist turned fascist who promise a better future but upon acquiring the power pay lip service to their initial program. Okay, so modern day democracies are in the decline. Okay, and there has been deglobalization, there has been rise in discontent, okay, rise in inequality, and there has been discontent after the global financial crisis of 2008. So this has resulted into populist and fascist, and this has given way to coming up of kind of populist and fascist rulers, fascist leaders who come to power to by appealing mass by appealing to masses. However, when they acquire power, they only pay lip services to their initial program, whatever they have promised to do for the masses. It should always be known that all fascists come to power through democratically legitimate means, promoting promising a better future. Okay, it has been I have kind of isko I have defined it. Okay, so that is how you can conclude it. So now let us discuss fifth question. The emergence of new actor and social forces are forcing a rethink of overdeveloped thesis of state critically evaluate. Okay, so rethink of overdeveloped thesis of state. How what has initiated emergence of new actor and social forces. Okay, so overdeveloped state is a thesis propounded by a Pakistani scholar Hamza Alvi. Okay, this is an insight into nature of state in developing countries. Okay, so it gives insight into the nature of state in developing countries. Analysis has been made considering relative autonomy approach using. Okay, so on what basis analysis has been made? It has been considering the relative autonomy approach using Marxist discourse. Okay, overdeveloped state is a result of colonialism in the developing countries. Okay, so overdeveloped state is a phenomena of colonialism in developing countries. Okay, it has its evolution in the development of modern nation state in developed countries. Okay, so it has its evolution in development of modern nation state in developed country where political institutions have been transformed into developed countries. Okay, so when where political institution have been transported from developed country to developing country. Okay, so it has its evolution in development of modern nation. Okay, when modern nation has developed, it has its development evolution in development of modern nation in developed countries, where political institution have been transported from developed countries to developing countries, but economy and society remained stagnant. Okay, so political concept have been imported from developed country to from developed country to developing country. However, economy and society is still kind of stagnant, is kind of backward looking. So that has not gone well with the institution. Okay, this created a huge mismatch of for developing countries to be equally developed at par with the same pace as has been recorded in the West. Okay, so there we find out that in the West, development of all institutions have been in hierarchy and in sync with each other. Okay, so there we finds out that in West, development of all institutions have been in hierarchy and sync with each other. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that development of all, for example, political, economic or social institution have been in hierarchy. Okay, first political system developed, then social system developed, then economic system developed, but they were in hierarchical development. Also there was they were in sync, means when political system became liberal, okay, or free, kind of free from all the clutches, so social and economic system also kind of reflected the same thing. In economy there has been lesser fear, in society there has been recognition of the individual freedom and rights of individual. Okay, for example, when it was a state society, it was city state. When economic structure became feudal, the nature of the state also became feudal. Okay, when it was a state society, it was a city state. When economic system structure became feudal, nature of state also became feudal. When economic structure became modern, capitalist, state also became modern. Okay, so when economic structure became modern, that is capitalist, so state also became modern. Post-colonial state like this sync and hierarchy of growth because the institutions of growth were imported and were not organic. So post-colonial state like this kind of synchronous. Why? Because they are imported institution and they were not indigenous institution. That is why they lacks kind of this kind of sync and hierarchy. Okay, here Marxist concept of base and superstructure can be conceptualized to understand that is that base, that is the economy, is the stagnant, and superstructure, that is polity, is modern, which is a unusual mismatch for the development, growth and progress. Okay, so here we can apply the Marxist conception of base and superstructure. Okay, how that economy has economy is stagnant and superstructure, that is polity. So economy, which is the base, is stagnant. Okay, it is stagnant, but the superstructure, that is the state, has transformed. Okay, it has become modern, but economy is same as it used to be. So society has been in the process of constant evolution. Okay, society has been in the process of constant evolution. There have been many pillars that runs this wheel of evolution. Okay, there have been many pillars that run this wheel of evolution. All the institutions are gradually moving towards making post-colonial state an autonomous regime and not even relatively autonomous, as has been questioned by Hamza Albi. Okay, so all the institutions are gradually moving toward making post-colonial state an autonomous regime. Okay, and not even relatively autonomous, as has been questioned by Hamza Albi. Okay, being autonomous means what is the meaning of being autonomous? Means making policy decision, that is the political, economic, social and international economies based upon the respective national interest and not dependent upon existing standard of development. Okay, so they are in a constant move for to become autonomous regime. Okay, means autonomous in the sphere of economy, polity, social and international sphere. They are not dictated by the terms and condition of developed country, but they have their own autonomous development model. Okay, new forces of change are seen at national and international level that lead to bringing of a new parlance on the outlook of post-colonial state. Okay, new forces of change are seen at national and international level that lead to bringing of a new parlance on the outlook of post-colonial state. For example, India and South Africa at United Nations on lift of ban on COVID-19 vaccine patents, and India at WTO on agreement on agriculture agreement. Okay, so what is new forces of change are seen at national and international level that lead to bringing of a new parlance on outlook of post-colonial state. For example, India and South Africa at United Nations on lift of ban on COVID-19 vaccine patents, and India at WTO on AOA agreement. Okay, so that is the kind of which is showing the autonomous autonomy of the state. India has been reluctant or has been kind of very rigid when it comes to sacrificing its rights when it comes to agriculture. Okay, and similarly both India and South Africa have urged United Nations to lift a ban on the COVID-19 vaccine patent. So that is what it is saying. Okay, the sixth question: the state is based upon power relation between classes and classes comment. Okay, the state is based on power relation between classes comment. Okay, so how would you comment? So the first how you can so the first is introduction could be power is a factor tool for existing social, political and economic relation. Okay, so power is the factor tool for existing social, political and economic relation. It is a key determinant of any state society structure. Okay, so it is a key determinant of what? It is a key determinant of any state society structure. Karl Marx in his book Communist Manifesto wrote that class struggle and its impact on state power relation. Okay, so he has wrote about what? Class struggle and its impact on state power relation, where in his book Communist Manifesto. Okay, according to Karl Marx, a state is tool in the hands of bourgeois. Okay, so state is a executive committee of bourgeois. Okay, that is those that control the factor of production. Okay, bourgeois means those who control the factor of production. Okay, so state is a instrument in the hands of bourgeois class, or state is a executive committee of bourgeois. According to theory of Marxism, society is divided into two classes, that is haves and have not. So society is divided into two classes. The division is based upon factor of production. Okay, so this division is based on what? This division is based on factor of production in the economy. Okay, that control the means and modes of production. That controls the mean and modes of production. Okay, hence in turn control the political power. Okay, since economic structure is basic structure, so it has also led to control of political power, which is a major cause of conflict in society. And state power has been controlled by those who are controlling economic structure, which has resulted into conflict of society, cause of conflict in society. This inequality is further shown in the societal imbalance of the power structure. Okay, so this inequality in terms of economic and political in economic and political sphere has resulted into disbalance even in societal sphere. Okay, Marx further in his theory explained the impacts it had on social, political, economic and strategic aspect of society and state, which makes one class dominant, that is bourgeois, and suppresses the other, that is proletariat. Okay, so in his theory he explained the impact it had on social, political, economic and strategic aspects of society and state, that is which makes one class dominant, that is the bourgeois, the capitalist class, and the suppresses other, that is the proletariat class, that is the have-nots. Okay, so Marxism hold that in every stage of evolution, in every stage of social evolution, the class of rich, that is the propertied class, which owns the means of production and distribution in society, has always used the power in their own benefit, in their own favor, that brings inequality in society. Okay, what Marx says that in every stage of social evolution. The class which is controlling the economic structure, that is the propertied class, has owned the है ना which is owning the means of production and distribution in society, has always used power in such a manner which benefits their interest and breeds inequality in society, because the money and power has been kind of appropriated by the those who are in the those who belong to rich class. Okay, using example, Marx explained that in slave stage master used power over slaves, whereas in feudal society feudal lords used power over the serf, peasants and the land labor, and in the contemporary age of capitalism power is being used by capitalists for exploiting the proletariat. Okay, so in slave society ओके मास्टर्स यूज पावर ओवर स्लेव्स. ओके, तो है ना, तो मास्टर स्लेव्स वर सबसर्विएंट टू मास्टर. इन फ्यूडल सोसाइटी इट वाज serfs who were subservient to their feudal lords. Okay, they had to work for them for their feudal lords. And in labor in capitalism it is the worker who are being exploited okay, at the hand of capitalist. Okay, the rich class has based withhold economic, social and ideological and political domination of society. So this class which is the class of haves always have their grip on economic, social, ideological and political sphere of society. Okay, class theory of power holds this view that be it in the form of producing constraint or withholding power in the form of domination, it is always powerful in the society that control both basic and superstructure in the society. Okay, so class theory of power said what? That be it in form of producing consent, be it form of producing consent, okay, Gramscian view. Withholding power in form of domination, that is the through coercion, that is the Marxist view. Okay, it is always powerful in society that control basic and superstructure. So it is the power flow which control basic and superstructure in society. Whereas this theory has been criticized by pluralist, okay, school of thought, suggesting that power has just not been in the hands of few but rather proportionately distributed as per the structural composition of the society. Okay, so pluralist thinkers for example Lasky and McIver, they have criticized this view that the class which control the economic structure also control the superstructure, because over a period of time there has been distribution of power even to the marginalized section of society. Okay, so it cannot be said that the power is always absorbed by those who belong to category of class of haves. Okay, so school of thought suggesting that power has not just been in the hands of few but rather proportionally distributed. Okay, proportionally distributed as per the structural composition of society. Okay. Now the second last question. Neoliberalism as a mode of existence of contemporary capitalism is in systematic crisis discussed. So neoliberalism as the mode of existence of contemporary capitalism is in systematic crisis discussed. So setback of the industrial revolution brought the waves of socialism and communism in the economic system. Okay, so whatever the shortcoming of industrial revolution were there, they have given way to socialism and communism in economic system. Okay, this has further brought the need to bring a consensus by bringing the gap between both socialism and capitalism. Okay, so this has further brought the need to bring a consensus by bringing the gap, by bridging the gap between both socialism and capitalism. Okay, so this has kind of necessitated that there should be a consensus to bridge the gap between socialism and capitalism. So neoliberalism is the free market phenomena but minimal state intervention. Okay, so neoliberalist thinker, for example Nozick, Hayek and Friedman, they propagate for free market phenomena. Okay, that is there should be free flow of the people. There should be state should have no control over market. Okay, state interference should be avoided, but minimal is okay है ना. तो state market should be free and state should not intervene. Okay, state should act as a night watchman state. Okay, it shares its association with the theory of laissez-faire with the minimal state response. Okay, so laissez-faire it is associated with laissez-faire theory of classical liberalism. Okay, this emerged as a result of failure of socialist and communist state in paying public debt. Okay, when there has been emergence of welfare state. Okay, but but the welfareism has gone to the extent that it has resulted into crisis. Okay, debt crisis of state. Okay, and states were not able to kind of pay back public debt. Okay, so there has been demand to bring bring new liberal policy into the state affair. Okay, in 1920s, J.M. Keynes in his book Against Capitalism produced the theory of neoliberalism. Okay, so it was J.M. Keynes who in his book Against Capitalism produced the theory of neoliberalism. Features as prescribed those have led to bringing success to neoliberalism are. What are the features which has resulted into success of neoliberalism? So they are privatization, liberalism, free flow of people, goods, services, and the philosophy of trickle down effect in the economy with the state control, with the state control effect to it. Okay, so what were the features of neoliberal state? To privatization, liberalism, free flow of people, goods, services, and philosophy of trickle down effect in the economy with the state control effect to it. Okay, as it will not be wrong to say that it is a reformed idea of classical economic liberalism. So as I told earlier that it is kind of re-emergence of classical economic liberalism in the form of neoliberalism. Okay, this has been a great success proven by state. There has been a great success proven by state and market in keeping the hold of society. Okay, but since past few times, capitalism and its growth story have been ineffective in bringing resolution to the emerging social crisis emanating out of it. Okay, so there has been rise of interstate and intra-state inequality. There has been inequalities are at the rise. Ill effect of globalization. Highest form of globalization is the establishment of WTO. However, despite establishing all these institutions, there has not been sufficient increase in the life standard of those who belong to bottom of the pyramid. So that is why it is said that there has been a discontent, okay, in the society, which has resulted into bringing back of the new Marxist phenomena. As has been pointed by many contemporary Marxists that neoliberalism in contemporary form of capitalism is in the state of demise. Okay, so contemporary Marxists, what they say that the contemporary form of capitalism, that is the neoliberalism, is in state of demise. First, government under the influence of market has cut down on welfare policies and market is in the process of profit making. This has brought the society at the crossroads of emerging crisis at the time of war or health emergencies like COVID-19, where economy still could not recover. Okay, the government under the influence of market, government which was influenced by market has cut down on welfare policy. The welfare policy has been withdrawn, but market in the process of making profit has brought society on the crossroads of emerging crisis. For example, at the time of war, health emergencies like COVID-19, where economy is still not able to recover. Second, overproduction. The capitalist idea of increasing surplus has led to increasing working hours and increased wages, eventually leading to exploitation. Okay, so overproduction. There has been a trend of consumerism in Western society, to which is consumerism has given way to overproduction. Okay, overproduction has given way to kind of consumerism, which is vice versa. Okay, the capitalist idea of increasing surplus has led to increasing working hours and decreased wages, eventually leading to exploitation. Okay, so that is what it is saying. Okay, here this aggravates a systematic crisis where there remain no demand for this surplus production in market because the overdue wages paid to labor thus creating imbalance. Okay, so undue wages paid to labor thus creating imbalance. Okay, so when labor or labor has kind of less wage, so if there is overproduction, so who is going to buy? Nobody is going to buy. So this surplus, no demand for this surplus production, okay, in the market because the undue wages paid to labor thus create imbalance. Okay, so wages are not paid to workers in proportion to their labor. Okay, that is why it has created imbalance. This is a deep crisis of capitalism, hence a system which has its fault line in core of its functioning. Okay, so this is a crisis of capitalism, hence a system which has its fault line in its core of its functioning. Socialist solution to it would be a socialist, rational and democratic plan of production which could provide full employment with sufficiently reduced working hours, a living wage, housing and education for all, free health care and a decent pension. Okay, so socialist has solution. Socialist solution, what would be socialist solution? Socialist solution would be a socialist, rational, democratic plan of production. Okay, so it should be rational, democratic and socialist plan of production which would bring full employment, okay, and sufficiently reduce the working hours. Okay, it will encourage living wage, housing and education for all. Okay, housing and education for all, free health care, and we can associate Obamacare, policy of Obamacare with this kind of things. So and a decent pension. Okay, the capitalist system sow the seeds of its own destruction. It is a famous kind of statement by Marx. Okay, thus creating a ground that is ripe for revolution. Okay, so it sows the seed of its own destruction, thus leading to a kind of situation which is ripe for revolution. Okay, a revolutionary movement of the masses, a Marxist program and a socialist alternative capitalism and class society could be abolished. Okay, so with a revolutionary movement of masses, a Marxist program and a socialist alternative, okay, capitalism and class society could be abolished. Okay, with a revolutionary movement of masses, a Marxist program and a socialist alternative, capitalism and class society could be abolished. The human race could be propelled into a new epoch and for the first time fully realized its potential. Okay, so human race would be entering into a new epoch where they are free to realize their full potential. Socialism will not be the end of history but merely the beginning. Okay, so socialism, what capitalists said after disintegration of USSR. Okay, they said that socialism has gone into the dustbin of history. However, there is no end of history of socialism, but it's the beginning altogether, new beginning. Okay, now the last question of today, that is the Marxist communism is not simply a utopia presented in vacuum. It is a political program meant to critique the social condition of capitalism. Evaluate. Okay, so Marxist communism is not simply a utopia represented in vacuum. It is a political program meant to critique the social condition of capitalism. Elaborate. We have to elaborate it. So how we are going to elaborate it? So first of all, Marxism is a political philosophy of working class, as liberalism is a political philosophy of capitalist class. It is a theory of social change. Why social changes take place and how to do these changes come into effect, and how do these changes come into effect. So how social change takes place and how do these changes come into effect. Okay, the social change take place because of the material factor and through a method called dialectic materialism method. Okay, so how social change take place? How social change take place through material factor and through a method that is called dialectic materialism. Okay, so here Marx said that unlike Hegel, who held that idea is the moving force of history, Marx, through his dialectic materialism, the concept of dialectic materialism, he said that it is not the idea, rather Matter is the moving force of history. In order to provide answer to the ills of the capitalist economy, Marx highlighted issue concerning capitalism, which will become a foundation stone to Marxist theory of communism. Okay. In his book Communist Manifesto, Marx highlighted by analyzing history of societies using the method of historical materialism that from primitive feudal to capitalist society, one class dominates the other using the tools of relation of production and surplus value, leading to dictatorship of proletariat, that is the dominating class that holds the factor of production. Hence the cause of class struggle and inequality in the society. Okay, so in his book Communist Manifesto, Marx highlighted by analyzing history of societies using the method of historical materialism that from primitive feudal to capitalist society, one class dominates the other using the tools of relation of production and surplus value, leading to the dictatorship of proletariat, that is the dominating class that holds the factor of production. Hence the cause of class struggle and inequality in society. Okay. Now, Marxist theory of communism is an advocate of classless and stateless society because, according to Marx, in his book Capital, stated that state is an instrument in the hands of capitalists. Okay, so Marxist theory of communism advocates for what? Classless and stateless society, because according to Marx, state is an instrument of capitalist. Okay. According to, in order to bring communism, Marx supports revolution. Okay, so Marx advocates revolutions. The Marxists say are locomotives of history. Okay, so according to Marxist, revolutions are locomotives of history. Okay, revolution occur when the relation of production come into conflict with the productive forces, leading thus to a new mode of production. Okay, so when revolution come when relation of production come into conflict with the productive forces, okay, which lead to a new mode of production. Okay, this revolution would lead to the establishment of socialist society that follow the capitalist society. Okay, after its evolution is a classless society that follows the communist society. After its capitalist society, after its evolution is a classless society. Okay, so this revolution would lead to the establishment of a socialist society that follows the capitalist society. After its evolution is a classless society. Okay, it is a classless society in the sense that all workers get job according to one's ability, from each according to his ability to each according to his work. The communist society which follows the socialist society will be both the classless society and the stateless society. Okay, Marx has been criticized by economists like J.M. Keynes for not being practical, modern and relevant. Okay, this analysis has been based upon unsuccessful attempt by world nation state in implementing communism, for example Russia. Okay, so this analysis has been based upon the unsuccessful attempts by world nation state in implementing communism, for example Russia. Socialists criticize Marx for misunderstanding class as a homogeneous entity amounting to revolution. Okay, so socialists also criticize Marx for misunderstanding class as a homogeneous entity amounting to the revolution. Okay, but Bertrand Russell has criticized it as unscientific. Marx belief in progress as universal law. Okay, so has criticized it as unscientific. Marx belief in progress as an universal law. Okay, Russell stated Marx professed himself as a theist but retained a cosmic optimism which only theism could justify. Okay, so it is a technical statement that Marx professed himself as a theist. Okay, Marx said that I am a theist, I do not believe in God, but retained a cosmic optimism which only theism would justify. Okay, but kind of the kind of program he has propagated, it is through theology it could be established. Despite these criticisms, Marx has never lost its relevance because Marx interpreted existing societies and economic conditions and not imagined them to be called utopia. Okay, and provided practical alternative to. So Marx has, despite criticism, Marx has never lost its criticism. Why? Because Marx has not, Marx has not imagined thing. Okay, Marx has only, kind of whatever he observed in the society, what was the phenomena were happening at his time. He only observed those phenomena and then provided solution to it. So that is what it is said. It is said that whenever ills of capitalism will become extreme, Marxism will be the refuge. Okay. So it is said that whenever ills of capitalism will become extreme, okay, when capitalism will be okay, when capitalism will be at its extreme, will be at its peak, okay, so Marxism will act as a shelter. Okay, that is what. So friend, thank you for this discussion, and please like, subscribe and comment. Thank you. I will be waiting for your valuable comments and feedback. Thank you very much.